Hello, back. Hope you're having a good day. Think I'm going to call this the dream, the plan, and the homestead. Now, where am I going with this? To the homestead. How did I come to that? We'll get to that probably in another video. Anyway, the dream goes all the way back to when I was, I want to say 15. Wanted to live in Montana on acres and acres of land and build my own house out of the trees on my land. I wanted some livestock, growing things. Now, all of this is going on in the minds of a kid living in South Central in the ghetto. I don't know how to get there, don't know what steps you take to get there. But that was my dream. Life happens, make one decision, next thing you know, one thing leads to another, and you're living in some little subdivision someplace doing America. Um, Life crashed around. You know, I hit a wall. Like you're running full bore, looking this way, hit it going full speed. Wow, I went down. Lost everything: house, cars, bank accounts, business, everything. So now I'm out of my depression and putting things, you know, working towards going someplace. But that dream always in the back of my head, and so that's where I'm going. It was about maybe a year or so ago. Something was placed on my conscious. Don't know where it came from, if it was a subconscious thought, if it was a little birdie, but for whatever reason, I just started looking at land. I didn't really know what I was looking for. I'd never looked for land before. But I found this little website, and I just automatically went to rural land and the only thing for me was affordability. And I had no money. I have, busted. So what am I going to do? Why am I looking at this land? Anyway, so I'm looking at land, and I wound up narrowing things down to a geography. It's right in that area where kind of Tennessee meets Kentucky, and you've got, I think, Alabama right around in there. But I started, as I'm looking, things like water rights. Is there access to a well? What's the growing season? What's the climate? Because I'm not sure that I really want to be dealing with months of snow. So anyway, these things are going. So I'm looking and looking, and I don't have the resources to do anything. And I came upon an old client of mine who basically is going to provide the resources for me to have a little parcel of land. So right now I've got my eye on a little spot down in those neck of the woods. I think it's about 5-6 acres. If it be God's will, that's where I'm going. But anyway, that's the goal. How am I going to get there? Well, I'm not going to walk. I'm working on some things. I'm actually putting together the plan as I'm doing parts of the plan. One, just day-to-day work, whether it be odd job or some consulting that I do. But then I'm also writing a book, as well as trying to deal with this technology. This is a big hurdle. This YouTube channel is one, an accompanying website, and then I want to try to launch. I'm working on this. I think his name is Tim Ferriss, book that I read, 4-Hour Work Week. Really interesting concepts, but he has one thing in there: income on autopilot. So I'm gonna try to see if I can't set up one of these little e-business kind of things, just do his kind of step by step. So anyway, those are some of them. I've got an idea for a computer game that I'd like to launch at some point. I mean, these things, trying to do everything at once, it gets jumbled. Anyway, so that's a part of the plan. It's and I learned that running my own business, that even though you're making money today, you should invest some time into 6 months from now, a year from now, simply because, when you're in that kind of a situation, you need the business to keep coming in. So anyway, the plan, the dream was always that ranch, that not so much a ranch, homestead. It's that place out in the woods on acres and acres of land. Horses if you want. Me personally, I love horses, but I'm looking more toward goats for meat, chickens. I've watched I don't know how many of these meat bird videos. Get a kick out of them. How to raise 100 meat birds in 8 weeks, that kind of a thing. I've seen several of those. Got some good ideas, but growing food. I mean, God gives me land. I plant food, or seed that grows food. Never grow flowers. Did one time for my daughter. I didn't. I'm not that good. I'm good at growing food, not so much flowers. Get off the store-bought meat. That's one of my objectives. At least primarily. Not that I'll never eat store-bought meat or eat, things that I don't grow. But I just want to begin to produce more of it for myself. So anyway, that was the dream that I had. My plan. At some point, I'm going by way of Mississippi. We have family in Mississippi, so I'm going to stop by there. And where I'll be is with someone who's a vegetarian and raises his own food. So I enjoy doing that anyway. But it'll put me close so I can put boots on the ground and actually go and take a look at parcels. Again, not, I don't have the resources per se, but they're being made available to me. Thank God. I mean, and that's who I thank. It's just amazing how that stuff happened. But I'm going to go. And if I'm full of crap, then there won't be a book. There won't be a unplugged, what do you call that, website. And it's just a bunch of hot air. But anyway, that's the dream, the plan, and the goal. And I hope you have one. One of the things that I remember when I was in the International Churches of Christ, our pastor at the time, they call him evangelist, he did a sermon on dreams. And his point was that we tend to lose them. We tend to not have them. And I'm not saying it has to be, I don't know, I want to start a YouTube company. Thanks, though, for you guys doing that, because a lot of people are making use of it. But it really is just about, is there anything in you that and it doesn't even have to be, I've talked to several people. One woman that I know, her dream is to help, what's the word, young women in trouble. These older teens or early, they get themselves in these bad situations. They've been prostituting themselves, or they've been strung out on drugs, or they've been molested, or whatever. Her dream is to be able to help them full time. And so not everything is monetary, not everything is even physical. But anyway, what's your dream? And if you can't answer it, think about it for a while. Is there anything that, you're compelled to want to give yourself to? A job is a source of income, but who you are and what you do is oftentimes can be different. People used to ask me, well, what are you? I tell them I'm a dad. No, what do you do for a living? whatever I need to do to, for a living to be a dad. But that's my primary, didn't have a wife, so I'm just a single dad. Um, so that part, what do you do? What do you do? Do you have a dream? Well, I hope you do. I hope life hasn't beaten it out of you. And if you don't, give it some thought, because we all should be as useful here as we can. For a person that has been on his back, whining like a little baby for some time now, I'm kicking myself in the rear end and getting up the hill. In any event, drink some water and think about that. Thank you very much.